Borough for March 6, 2024. Please stand and have our Cub Scout troop lead us.
Boy Scouts.
Sorry, three guys. Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Residents are asked to sign in who wish to speak during citizens' request. Speakers are allotted 3 minutes to present their initial comments. All meetings will be recorded auditorily and visually. Roll call, please, Ms. Words.
Ms. Cook?
Here.
Mrs. McHugh?
Here.
Mrs. Iker?
Here.
Mr. Luchetti?
Here.
Mrs. Thomas?
Here.
Mr. Soborowski is not in attendance. Mr. Veith?
Here.
Mayor Nowak?
Here.
Mr. Furman?
Here.
And Mr. Russmeisel.
Here.
You have the forum.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now time for citizens' request. First, we have Donna McCray. Please stand and state your name and address.
Hello, I'm Donna McCray, 305 Southview Drive. Some of you that saw the council discussion last meeting, may have been rather unsettled by what they saw, a little bit of loud discussion. I was very pleased and encouraged to see a group of people, like all of you here, trying their very best to do what they think they should be doing to get their job done properly. I saw the borough manager trying to not only manage projects that are coming up, but day-to-day activities of the borough. I saw council members who are liaisons to either a commission or a staff member or a part of the municipality that has to run. And I also saw staff members who are asking to please let them do their jobs without too many interruptions so they can get their jobs done. I think it's incredible that everybody is trying their best to do their best job. And sometimes that doesn't always match what the other people think they should be doing for their best jobs. If liaisons from council can't talk to the groups of people that they need to get information from in order for them to report to the rest of council and to us, they will not be able to do their jobs properly. And if staff has to be interrupted constantly by questions, they can't do their jobs properly. What I would urge council members tonight to consider is to find a compromise among all of you who think they would like to do their best job, and find a less permanent solution than legislating away the ability for council members, liaisons, to be able to speak to the people they have to represent to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Appreciate your comment. Next, we have Mr. Hal Plusa. Please stand and state your name and address.
Good evening, Hal Plusa, 4647 Doverdale Drive. I'm just asking, were any additional information found out about the lack of permits being submitted into Allegheny County and being acted upon?
Yes, the solicitor has a
I
response.
addressed this at the last meeting.
Right.
Well, I don't have the complete statistics or information from Allegheny County, but I'll should report back to all of council at the next meeting.
Okay, well, the reason why I ask is, just looking at information, in the fall issue of the Whitehall magazine, I saw that, for 2022 and the first part of 2023, there was approximately $8.4 million worth of permits that were issued, both residential and commercial. And looking at the millage rate, and I realized that just because there's an amount on a permit, that's not gonna have a direct impact on the assessed value of the property in question. Because I realize there's a lot of discussion that goes on in appeals and everything like that. However, just looking at that, that comes to roughly $37,000 that Whitehall has not gotten over a little bit over a year and a half, based on the permits that are being submitted. Now, I realize, considering the size of the Whitehall budget, that's not a large percentage overall, if the assessed values were increased by that amount overall. But nonetheless, I think there's something seriously wrong down on Grant Street, or Ross Street, wherever the office is, that they've gone, from what I understand, 3 years without taking any action on building permits, and the appeals to them as well. And I think this is something that needs to be addressed. And whether someone needs to go to the media to get someone to look into it and report accordingly, but this is obviously something that no one knows anything about for all practical intents. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say that, you know, I think, you know, I wanna get all the actual information before I report back and respond. Just need that.
So next meeting.
For sure, yeah,
Mr.
those certainly.
Okay. Thank you, Hal, for your comments. Okay, Jane Casciato, please stand and state your name and address.
Jane Cassiano, 5348 High Grove Road. I also want to speak to the actions of last meeting, and with all due respect, I do disagree with you. I think that people really do need to understand that the wall between elected officials and civil servants and workers of the borough needs to be maintained clear in order to have a democratic, principled government. Without that, when you break down those walls, when people cannot work unless they're working out of fear or favor, we do not get the best results. It's been proven over and over again, and keeping that separation is best for everybody. Other things that I want to discuss about what happened last week that I just want to point out. Ms. Eicher refused to approve a single payment for ongoing works and services to the borough. Not a payment to a vendor, not a payment to anybody who had one listed out. She had abstained to, she had objected to two. Then, with the stroke of her pen, she sends the borough manager on a quest to produce every document meant for trash for her to view personally, one by one. I certainly believe there is a better way to spend our tax dollars than to send Miss Works on this quest. But she's completely magnanimous to offer Whitehall's marquee property to the neighboring borough at the expense of its patrons. And if you want to know who the patrons are, they're the taxpayers. We are the patrons of this pool. And without our buy-in, that's a no. That's a default no. And if she is doing this because she's looking to fry bigger fish with a new political position, she better remember who voted for her. She has not made herself so far a good steward of Whitehall's tax dollars, and she is just hiding her fear of spending money in silly excuses like hyper oversight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane, for your comments. Appreciate that. Okay, our next citizen, Pat, sorry, I can't read the last name, begins with a K.
Knesevich.
Thank you, Mayor. Stand and state your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Pat Knesevich. I've been a resident of Whitehall for 52 years. I live over at the corner of Curry and Norwin. I'm having a real water problem over there. Several of the council people have been nice enough to take a look at the problem. I'm coming to you to ask all of you on council to please at least come and look at what I'm trying to fix. water comes off of Bronzeville onto Club Drive West and comes, Club Drive West has no catch basins. So all of that water heads for my yard, and it's affecting a wall 3 foot away from my house. I'm not talking about a wall, I'm talking about a wall. If that wall goes and it's moving quickly, it will hit the foundation of my home with a lot of force. I can't afford that. I hate to play the age card, but I'm 86, living alone, nobody to help me. So I can only turn to you, and I think you have a lot of responsibility here, because the water is coming from what I assume is your property, because you take care of the street above it. You snowplow it, you salt it, you patch it, and you direct the water right to my yard. So I'm asking each of you, please come by shortly, because I can't look the other way. I have Parkinson's disorder.
You've 1 minute remaining.
I don't have, the ability, I have to look into it quickly, because, as I said, professional people, the mining company was out, I wanted to make sure it wasn't a mine subsidence, and it isn't. It's water from the Borough Road destroying my home. So if you could all please take the time to at least come and look, offer suggestions, and look into the matter, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I'm sorry you're going through those problems. Scott, did we go out there to this lady's property in the past?
I don't recall visiting her property.
Okay.
I can talk.
I was there.
I was there too. Do you wanna go first, or you want me to go first?
Well, I was just gonna say, the borough, it looks like we did do something at some point, and it must have been done, I believe she's like 20 years ago, even longer. So if we could just repair what we did, she said it was working up until, recently, and it is very overgrown and,
It wasn't done by us. It was done by Pat and the Pat
So the resident?
Just the resident just spoke.
The resident.
well, yeah.
Yeah. So, and Pat, correct me if I'm wrong, but Pat, let's start with this. The roadway that Pat is talking about is, West Club. West Club has, it's an unusual situation because it's never been accepted by the borough. In order to accept it, there would need to be put in storm sewers, and I think the road would have to be widened, at least that's been my understanding. But the borough does have an arrangement with the residents up there that it does, as Pat said, it does plow, and I guess it might do some patchwork, but there are no storm sewers up on West Club Drive, okay? So, and the borough hasn't accepted it, so the borough's always had this, difficult dance as to, what to do. Now, I got involved with Pat, I think in, 2009, and I think what happened, was that, Pat put in several $1,000s, and the homeowner that's right across from where that culvert is, put in some money, and they utilized Zeller landscaping, and they built up the side so that the water would drain down. The problem is it comes to the end of the street, comes off Brownsville, right? Comes down West Club, and then just goes right onto her property. So they built that up, and so that the water would go down. Now, it helped for a little bit, but I think what's happening is either residents up there are making more changes, so there's more water. But I'll tell you something interesting, Scott, we were up, we drove up to West club to look. And as we're looking at this pipe that is directed to the culvert, a whole lot of water came out. You know, it's like, almost like, you know what I mean? A whole lot of water came out all at once, which I thought was kind of strange.
Sump pump? Do you think it
Maybe,
could possibly
yeah,
be a
okay,
sump
all
pump?
right, so is that what, okay, that would explain it, then, okay. Sorry, it just, you know, it's just surprising, because you're used to water trickling out, you know, coming down the drain, trickling out, so it must have been the sump pump sending a whole bunch of water, and it's going down the drain. I think what's happening is so much water is going down there, it's wearing down the culvert, and now it's seeping into the ground, and it's coming down into Pat's backyard, and it's coming deep. And so what's happening is, she, outside her back porch is and I think you saw the stone, right? Going down the steps, there's a wall that is buckling, and it's moving a little bit quicker than, it's, you know how, Pat told me that it was cinder block that was cemented in both holes, right? And so it's, you know, it's a pretty solid wall, and now it's pushing out. You're not gonna be able to see from there. It's right behind the house. And it's in the sort of like the edge of the wall is pushing away, and it's creating a hole, and she's saying it's moving a little bit quicker. So we should figure out, you know, I think we have some responsibility to figure out what the problem is, and then how it gets taken care of, but she needs our help.
Well, she's a resident of Whitehall, and even though whether it's due to our problem causing it, or, I mean, I know you explained pretty well there, Mayor, the situation. Can you go out there and look at it, Scott?
Yep, do it this week.
And just let us know what suggestions you may have for our resident. We have to help her in some way that we can. I mean, whether it may not be our responsibility in spending money or something, but at least we can give some suggestions or something.
So what else to add, you know, it's certainly, you know, right, Mr. Russ wanted to check out and see what it is, the
Yes.
response from radios, you have to investigate.
Yes, we'll do that, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Okay, next, President Cheryl Stefan? Oh, Shepard, okay, your name and address, please?
4807 Baptist Road, Pittsburgh, PA.
Okay.
Okay, and I just came here to support Pat because she has the Parkinson's and she really didn't want to say. She does have a good survey that was done by the gas company. That land that's between the fences, that's a vacated alley, evidently Whitehall Borough property. There is a catch basin down in the corner there, and like when Pat said, when that was cleared, it came down and it did not do. She tried to approach this in 2009, and her and her husband thought they would just walk with Whitehall Borough, and it got lost in the shuffle. And it wasn't causing as much damage as it is now. And she's all alone, and she's elderly, and she's a good person. I just
Well,
want
thank
to ask you, but you've already said you would listen to her.
Absolutely, thank you for your
So, thank
comments.
And there is, Scott, a culvert down at the bottom near the stop sign. If we could ever direct the water down into that culvert, that would be a great thing. And there's a pool of water on her property. It's almost like it's ponding.
She has
Like,
a
so
pond.
so the culvert is on someone else's property, not on her property, okay? Past the stop sign, all right, deep. And then when you pull back and you go onto her property, there's a little bit of a ponding of water from the water coming down, so whatever you can do.
Thank you.
I just wanted to tell you, she has a lot of papers, like she has a good survey and everything. She
Okay.
took them with her and that, so if you need to look at those spots, I
Sure.
think they'd be very helpful for you.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, our next resident, Ryan Jones, please stand and state your name and address.
Good evening, everybody. Ryan Jones, 4787 Borough Drive. I'm here as a resident and also a board member of the Bolton Whitehall Soccer Association. Our vice president, I reached out to somebody in the Parks and Rec department about possibly putting in a kickball for soccer at Highland Park. They advised us to come to the borough meeting and kind of illustrate what that might be. We recently put one in at Colwood Park in Baldwin Borough. It's to be used for the children in the community as well as the association, with the pretense that if the Highland Park retro or grading or whatever plans that were originally potentially drawn up were to go through, our association would go ahead and take that kick wall down, to, and, you know, maintain it, put it in our pod until such time we can put it back up again. It would be completely built, maintained by our association and volunteers, no cost to the community at all. So, like I said, I'm just here to kind of bring that to the council and then proceed with next steps as needed.
How large is this wall?
The wall itself is 8 foot wide, 7 foot tall, and it would be made out of it's pressure treated wood, so it would stand up to last through the elements.
You said it's movable?
No, it would be put in with concrete. When we would go and set the pillars, we would do it in concrete, but again, our responsibility, should anything happen, anything change, we would remove it with our, so.
Mr. Jones, I believe you were corresponding with Hannah, correct?
Yeah, not myself, but yeah,
Oh, someone-
yeah,
okay.
from our
Were
association
you
was.
unfamiliar if they'd sent anything, specific plans, pictures that we could share with council? Hannah was out sick today, so I haven't had a chance to follow up with her.
We have photos that we can share, I don't know if they have
I
been,
think
but
that'd be helpful.
yeah, we can share the ones that we completed at Colwood, and then also to kind of areas we think it might work at Highland as well.
I've seen the photos, I'm part of that organization as well, I have seen the photos at Colwood. I mean, it's literally a wood wall, that's it. It's this big, it's this tall, it's a wood wall on 2 posts, and it gets moved if you need it. So, I would certainly encourage us to, this is something that's easy, we're not gonna cost us anything. If this is something we can move forward, I would certainly support that.
Would the placement of it interfere at all with baseball?
No, it would, so today at Highlands, right, we have the baseball field, and then there's the gazebo area, and there's an area to the right that's primarily used by our association for soccer practices. We don't use it for games, we use it for practices. We were thinking somewhere along those lines if you're staring at the gazebo, like to the right there, or even closer towards over where the wood line is. Again, not knowing what needs to be done from property lines and whatnot, but keep it usable, but not to the point where it's like out of the way and forgotten, and not kind of obstructing anything else.
Would there be something behind this to keep the ball from going down into the residents' yards?
So up there, there's a fence to again, so there's a fence to the far side, and there's a hill and wood line to the other side. So the ball wouldn't necessarily go up there. We don't have that problem today when we have practices.
Okay.
Again, so the baseball field is more towards the residences where you have that ability to potentially have the ball go down the hill. But yeah, no, we would be completely.
Are you having any problems at all at Colwood?
So it's only been up for, I think this will be the second weekend that we've had it. The borough does have a camera down there for their restrooms that they have had vandal problems with in the past. That said, we took it upon approach of our association that it's our cost, we had the okay from the borough to put it up. If it does get vandalized, it's a lesson learned, and we'll either replace it or figure out another measure. We were also told by the borough, because the camera they have down there, it is a closed loop system, so if we do see people down there kind of messing with it, they can pull that video footage and go to the authorities as well.
Well, the price is right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we were fortunate, Lowe's was able to give us, you know, the at cost type of a thing, so it's good for the community all around, so.
And while we've helped with batting cages for the baseball, you know, certainly this is something we should consider for soccer.
For sure. Appreciate your time, thank you.
Just one question, was the administration and Tillotson School consulted about this?
No, because we were advised that this was borough property, so we did not go to the Tillotson School, and then it's something we can also.
Yeah, it would be nice to give them a heads up.
Yeah.
Kathy, is there anything else you need to talk to them? Kathy's the chair of the
What I'd
Parks
like to
Committee.
do is look at the one at Colwood. We can talk about it, and then at the next meeting, I'll make a motion to either not do it or to do it.
Okay, so I'm sorry.
And then it would be voted on at the next meeting.
So the upcoming April meeting then?
Yes, would be the one.
2 meetings from now.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, because you would make a motion either way in 2 weeks, put it on
To
the
put it on
following.
the agenda.
So
Gotcha.
it'll be 2 week meetings from.
Yeah, so we'll make sure that we forward photographs of what we did at Colwood and kind of tentative areas I'm sorry, Hannah? Yes, I'll forward that to her, or somebody in our association will, and then we'll kind of do it from there.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you so much for your time,
Very good.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, that's all the citizens' request. And we have our bills and payroll, Ms. Works.
Thank you. Administrative Services, Mrs. McHugh.
In order.
Public Safety, Mr. V.
In order?
Mrs. Iker, Public Works.
In order.
Recreation, Mr. Dobrowski.
In order.
Storm Sewer Fund, Mrs. Iker.
In order.
Sanitary Sewer Fund, Mrs. Iker.
I will ask in public again, what is the path forward to go ahead and have some sort of records regarding the, storm sewer loan of 2017 regarding each and every payment and the cadence thereof? Because I recognize that there is not a, payment on this particular bill list. It has been approximately, 29 days since the last payment, but I can't tell because it was on the last bill list that was submitted, again, approximately 29 days ago.
So can you clarify what exactly is it? The loan is being paid. It is paid monthly.
Yes.
It is done via the treasury, the West Banco, where money is moved from our general, in regards to the general fund and storm to the sinking note funds where the bank then retrieves it. It is
Yes.
paid.
Yes, I do agree that it is paid and it is paid efficiently through that treasury auto draft, if you will. However, I'm just asking, what is the cadence of it being paid? Is it being paid, once, a month on the last Monday? Is it paid, on the 31st of the month, which the 31st of the month doesn't always happen? What is the cadence in which it is paid?
It's paid monthly. The money is retrieved for the Dovedale loan on or about the 21st of each month, and the construction loan is on or about the 6th of each month.
It's all done internally at the bank.
Correct. We move money internally from our operating accounts to the sinking note accounts, and then they retrieve it from there.
All right, very well. I will request again, some documentation in writing from West Banco concerning the interest rates and how long they will hold, as well as the agreements regarding these, treasury drafts. And I would also respectfully ask for, a yearly balance.
We've discussed the rate is secured for 5 years. It's variable every 5 years. I believe we are in year 3 of the current, rate for the Dovedale loan specifically. I can't give you a document that doesn't exist though.
Yes, we discussed this last time that we were going to ask them to draw up such a document.
I was not instructed to do that.
Yeah, that would have to come from council. I mean, council would have to ask. I mean, you're asking West Banco to do something to, you know.
I mean, it's always, it's automatic and it's being paid.
Yeah, what is your concern? What,
Okay.
I mean, what are you hoping to discover by, you know, getting all these people involved and getting your information? What do you think is the problem? What would you like to have?
Well, if this was an ordinary mortgage, let's just say, to simplify things, we would have an ability to log in from time to time, to check on our e-drafts of our payments and see what the principal balance is, and there being absolutely no statements regarding these transactions on a multi-million-dollar loan is not exactly comfortable.
Is there an amortization
There is,
schedule?
and Mrs.
Why don't you get the
provided it.
amortization schedule, look at the amortization schedule, where you know how the payments come out, what part is interest, what part is principal, and it should answer your question.
I have received the amortization schedule at the time that these loans were drawn up. However, it's due to the fact that these are variable rate of interest. And due to the fact that we project the, storm sewer loan to go up and not go down in, 2024 regarding these payments. I would like to know why this bill might go up, because that was projected in the budget.
The monthly payment has remained the same as far as the budget. I can't exactly speak to that, without the finance director that was here when that was put together was involved in that. Obviously, there's a vacancy currently. I can look into documents, but there's not much other than the budget and where she got that number.
Has it changed any in the last year? Does it change every year?
No,
No.
it's variable every 5 years.
Oh, okay, so it's gonna be the same. We've been having an amortization schedule for 5 years, it's gonna be the same. They're gonna pull it out at the rate of the amortization schedule, and so you'll know that. I mean, if you're interested in that, you'll be able to find it. Am I missing anything, Mr. Solicitor? I mean, if you have the amortization schedule, you should know what part is principal, what part is interest for the 5-year time period. And, you know, when it comes out at the bank, it's, you know, when they decide to pull it out, it's still gonna be the same. It's this much of principal and this much of interest on a monthly basis.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I would otherwise be able to accept the amortization schedule, but it was given in the worst case scenario should the adjustable rate go to the worst case scenario. It wasn't it wasn't given in the introductory rate nor in the current rate.
I'm not familiar with what you're referring to.
You know, we have the amortization.
Yes, that's in the West Banco original contract. The amortization table is in the original contract. If you have a more current amortization table, perhaps that's closer to what I'm looking
It's the same for 5, what I understood Courtney to say,
for.
is that we borrowed for 5 years at a certain rate, and the amortization schedule for that 5-year period is fixed. Our payments are fixed, so much of that payment is principal, so much is interest, and you would know exactly what the 5 years is. Only a crystal ball would know what happens in year 6, 7, 8, for as long as the loan, because it's a variable loan. So why don't you start, my suggestion would be, so as not to tax the staff or to get West Banco, you know, asking, why are you asking for this information? Just, if we could give, you know, if you could get the amortization schedule, you would know exactly what's coming out on a monthly basis. And that, you know, when they choose to take it out, is up to them. As long as that payment is the same, you know, it shouldn't matter.
Okay, that should answer the question.
Okay, sure. I will fill out a new right to know form for said current amortization schedules. Thank you.
2022 construction fund, Mrs. McHugh.
In order.
Capital projects fund, Mrs. McHugh.
In order.
Local fiscal recovery fund, Mrs. McHugh.
In order.
Ask for a motion to approve bills, on the bill list from the general fund totaling $73,845.87. From the storm sewer fund totaling $1,273.61. From the sanitary sewer fund totaling $14,175.99. From the 2022 construction fund totaling $5,217.50. From the capital projects fund totaling $4,674.00. And from the local fiscal recovery fund totaling $89,758.34.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion unanimous.
I also ask for a motion to ratify approve checks and transfers to be ratified from the general fund in the amount of $329,155.80. From the sanitary sewer fund in the amount of $420,595.93. From the storm sewer fund in the amount of $11,935.90. And from the capital projects fund in the amount of $5,008.00.
So moved. Second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous.
I also ask for a motion to approve payroll checks and transfers to be ratified from the, from the February 9th payroll for an amount of $46,883.93, and from the February 23rd payroll in the amount of $1,287.63, for a grand total from the payroll fund in the amount of $94,171.62.
So moved.
Second. Motion's made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous.
I also ask for a motion to approve payroll for pay date February 9th, 2024 in the amount of $171,868.41.
So moved.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous.
I ask for a motion to approve payroll for the pay date of February 23rd, 2024 in the amount of $177,694.00.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous.
And there are overtime lists attached to both of those.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Burks. Any other questions for Courtney? Okay, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting minutes of February 21, 2024.
Okay, if there's no correction, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the minutes from, February 21st, 2024.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous, thank you. Okay, we'll come to, Mayor Nowak's report.
Thank you, Madam President. First item I have is the monthly report for February 2024. Police responded to 681 calls for service in February. EMS assist 148, court hearings pretrial 140, accidents 16, criminal arrests 22, traffic stops 198, traffic details 141, written traffic citations 122, written warnings of traffic violations 157, and this is, most of these numbers are higher or significantly higher than the prior year. The only exception to that is EMS assist. Last year in February it was 169, and this year it's 148. But just to give you a sense of the difference, written warnings of traffic violations, we had 157 this year and 13 last year, so I'm not sure what was.
Yeah, that number seems really high. 681 calls, that's 20 calls, am I not right, 20 calls a day roughly.
That is a little higher than average, but we generally do 6,000 calls a year.
What are most of the calls?
A little bit of everything, domestics, frauds, suspicious vehicles, suspicious, persons.
And it will probably include, does it include, it includes its statistics here, right? Or no?
It probably does at this point. We back out traffic stops at the end of the year.
Actually, looking at it, Chief, no, this is like if you added all these, so it must be just what you said, so. Well, monies collected and turned over to the borough during February 2024 comes to $5,342.11, and there's a breakdown. Moving along, Investigator Newbold attended a 4-hour seminar on addiction and ways to connect individuals to treatment, sponsored by the Fox Chapel Police Department. Sergeant Mayburn and Officer Valenti attended an 8-hour emergency vehicle and pursuit driving course held at the Pitt Raceway in Beaver County. Officers completed 2024 pistol qualifications as required by the Municipal Police Officer Education and Training Commission. DEP Technologies successfully migrated borough administration and police computer networks to new fiber connection last week. Our service providers will monitor the network for the next 90 days to ensure bandwidth and system configurations remain stable. Moving along, is anybody from the fire company here? All right. So I will make one note for the fire company. Lee Price just went on Lee Price, for those of you who don't know, is a volunteer fireman, longtime volunteer fireman. And last week, he went on his 8,000th call. 8,000. Polar plunge.
Polar plunge, Mayor.
Polar plunge. We did it, didn't we, Linda?
Yes, we did. Alyssa.
And Alyssa.
And Eric, our
Eric
Public Works
Harris,
Director.
yeah. So thank you, those of you who pledged. It was a record-setting effort for the Polar plunge. I can't say, you know, we did our little part, but they raised $1 million for special
Just
events
that day.
through the
Just on a
Polar plunge.
Saturday.
I think they fundraise all year. I can't believe that they're going to bring in $1 million in one day, but you could be right. But my sense is the various police departments have adopted this as a competition. And so in the last couple years that we've been doing it, it's come down to the Port Authority Police versus the City Police. And this year, the Port Authority Police were the winners. They raised $100,000 for the Special Olympics. And Shirley Henderson, who is Keith Henderson's wife, is with the Port Authority Police. And so, yeah, they do a phenomenal job.
Yes, it's wonderful, a lot of work, it's very
Yeah,
successful.
yeah.
And I wore my t-shirt, Falling Link, I wore it everywhere. I wore it tonight.
So again, thank you all for your support and your prayers. Lastly, is a Whitehall Committee for Environmental Action report. I just wanted to tell everyone that this is it's really nice for two people on our committee. So Hal knows these people. We had put out, the Whitehall Committee for Environmental Action put out a request for volunteers. And we got a senior at Baldwin High School and a 9-year-old at, I think she was at Whitehall, now she's at
Lutz Elementary School.
What is it?
Lutz Elementary.
Yeah, she's at the Lutz Elementary School, thank you. And her name is Sophia Benitez, do you know her? Sophia? No? And the senior, although he came to us as a junior, his name is Brendan Harris. Well, I mentioned that, both of them, because tonight they're being honored by the school board for their work with the Whitehall Committee for Environmental Action. So Sophia has been working to collect marker pens so that we can recycle them. And you know, the box up in the lobby, I think she created the sign, you know, for that box. She also created a sign for Whitehall Community Day. Brendan has worked with, Donna can tell you, the Shade Tree Commission. He's been out with the Shade Tree Commission. He's worked with the Whitehall Lions Club. They were very instrumental. Brendan and Marianne Bellis went to Baldwin Borough and elicited the support of Baldwin Borough. So Baldwin Borough is now recycling plastic the way we're recycling plastic, and that was through the efforts, again, of Brendan Harris and Marianne Bellis. So they're being honored at the school board tonight.
Oh, that's great.
So that's all I have, Madam President.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Any questions for the mayor? Okay. Move on to our solicitor's report, Mr. Furman.
Thank you. I do not have a report.
That's always good. Thank you. Our engineer's report, Mr. Rossmeiser.
Thank you, Madam President. In our report dated March the 1st, under item 2 of the operation and maintenance plan, there is one action item there. It's under the 2023 closed circuit televising inspection contract. Roto-Rooter Services has continued work on that project, and they have submitted a pay application number 3. We reviewed that application and recommend approval The recommended motion is to approve pay application 3 in the amount of $24,911.56 for the 2023 CCTV inspections to Roto-Rooter Service Company.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Do we have any idea where the camera inspection was done? Because and now we have these sheets on the back, and I was just wondering what
We do
I mean,
know.
am I missing something? I don't know.
No,
Because I just wanna make sure that where this took place at.
We do know where the work occurred.
Okay.
But it's 3 sheets of 5 sheets of line segments.
Okay.
There's no physical address. Manholes have a identification number, and it's to and from. And I get lost in the system unless I have a GIS in front of me.
Yeah, that's how it makes sense. Is there any way next time around you might be able to, give us something digitally so I could,
If you want this included, I don't know I don't know how
Yeah, just so
beneficial
I
it'll
know.
be. Here, you can take a look at it.
I don't need to take a look at it, but.
The ones that
I
are
just wanna
blue
make
and
sure
white
for
are the
next-
ones remaining to be completed.
Yeah.
The red item, or the red line items in there are the sections of sewers that need to be revisited. And then our comments there are for pipe defects and so on.
So these are just, I understand. I thought that it might say, between
No.
so-and-so address and so-and-so address. That's
No,
all.
There are several thousand manholes in the borough,
Yeah, and they're all
so they just don't have an
identified by number.
identifier yet.
Yeah, none of us would have been able to figure that out. Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Questions, is that correct?
Yes, I do know that, those tables that you do include are very helpful. However, they are in black and white, and I don't know if there's any way if those, items could be possibly, because when it comes to us on the council, they're in black and white.
I have color.
You have the color edition? Okay,
Yeah, the digital that we get emailed is color.
okay, all right.
Yeah, I made a motion.
I second.
Motion's been made second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous, thank you.
A summary for Overlook Park on item 4 on page 2. Plumbers and electricians have completed the installation of their associated lines within the footprint of the building. The concrete steps, the upper section of the concrete steps, the footers were poured yesterday. So work was moving at a great pace until this rain here today. But we expect multiple trades to be on site in the next coming weeks, so a lot of activity will be occurring there. Under item 6 on the planning and zoning, we've touched base a few times over the last several months about the Grove Point Phase 1 and the items needed for acceptance. One of those items that is needed for the borough's acceptance is an as-built plan showing the storm and the sanitary sewers as well as the roadway system. We finally received an as-built plan. Late last week, we reviewed that plan and provided comments. We provided those comments back to the developer yesterday. There are items that need to be reviewed and revisited. Hopefully they're just surveying issues and not actual problems in the field, but time will tell there. So we're not in a position to recommend acceptance of that at this point with the condition of the as-built. There are also, I believe, 2 sections of storm sewer that were constructed outside of the recorded easements, so the developer will have to address that as well. Item 15 on page 4, just an update on the Felix Drive. As of this afternoon, Soul Light Construction advised us that they would be starting the project after April 4th. That's a magic date. That's when all of the asphalt plants are scheduled to open. So when that work occurs, the driveway can be repaired shortly thereafter. So expect activity there in early April.
April?
Yep. Under item 16, the Wayman Run Emergency Sewer Repair Contract, we did secure the necessary string permits to have that work completed. We've met with the contractor, we've met with Roto-Rooter Services for the emergency repairs. They're slated to start at the week of the 18th.
March 18th.
Yeah, so hopefully I have good news for you the night of the 20th.
Right, okay.
So, is there any expected road closures because of that?
It would just be temporary in nature, just to offload equipment.
Nothing like it was before.
Repairs were made, no, nothing close to that. Lord, let's hope not. We made repairs there, I think in 2021 or 22. So the access is right near the right of way that Columbia Gas recently installed their line, and you can still see the actual access road through the little wood lot there. So there should be no issues other than just offloading equipment, temporary. That's all I have this evening. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Westphal? No? All right, thank you. We'll move on now to our manager's report, Ms. Wertz.
Thank you, Ms. Buck. Before I dive into my report, I'd like to just update council on some things that the solicitor and I have been working through, particularly in regards to item number 1 on my report. So I wanted to advise council of some recent right-to-know requests that have been filed with the borough. All of these requests have involved materials slated for destruction following guidelines set forth by the Pennsylvania State Municipal Records Manual. As you know, as part of our administrative duties, borough staff annually compiles this list of files that can be purged from our archives following these guidelines. All of these items are slated for destruction, or as they are slated for destruction, they are pulled from the archives, thrown in boxes until such time that the final purge resolution is approved by council, which is what my first item of my report is. These right-to-know requests of late are unusually burdensome because they're seeking records that were subject to disposal. There are currently 45 boxes of materials that were slated to be destroyed under this proposed resolution. And in order to comply with these right-to-know requests, staff will have to go through all 45 boxes to determine what is in fact responsive to the request. And it's impossible to predict when we'd be able to come across any responsive material. That being said, the administrative staff cannot direct all of our time and energy to complying with these right-to-know requests because we're not staffed to engage in such an undertaking, and a significant amount of time and overtime will be required to complete this. At this present time, our already small staff is down about 30% due to a vacancy in the finance department. We currently have a staff member out on bereavement, and in the next few weeks, we will be losing another staff member to maternity leave. There's simply not enough hours in the day for staff to maintain our core borough functions, offer amenities and services that residents are accustomed to, and respond to these right-to-know requests in a thorough manner. So staff is now asking council, what should we be prioritizing right now? If we respond to prioritize responding to these right-to-know requests, it will be impossible for the borough to, 1, publish a spring magazine, and 2, at the very least, provide bingo in March and April. It will also potentially delay and potentially cancel in-person pool pass sales and summer camp registration. If Borough Council wishes to direct staff to respond to the current and future right-to-know as time permits, currently staff could dedicate up to 1 hour per week to respond and continue this pace until the requests are fulfilled. Under this plan, the borough would need to rent at least 2, most likely 3 off-site storage units to store the documents. Chief DeWard looked into this, and it's about $100 a month per unit. The police documents would in fact have to be kept separate from the administration files, and these costs would extend in perpetuity and increase as more documents are added each year. It would still be necessary to pay staff overtime under this option for a delayed and potentially reduced spring magazine, but we could make that work by the end of the month, a little early April possibly. And recreation events could be held, but as always, the financial obligations of the borough take precedence during regular business hours, particularly during banking hours. And additionally, an increase in mileage expenses to and from these storage units will be seen. So at this point in time, we are asking council for direction on what to prioritize.
May I ask a question? These right-to-know requests, is it just one individual in particular? I mean, obviously you don't say, or is it more than one person that wants all these files? Cause if it's one person that wants the files and they're just gonna be shredded anyway, could said person hypothetically, instead of shredding them, just say, take them to your garage, do whatever you wanna do with them, have a reading party. So but you will have to scan these exact documents. So why can't you just hand them out?
You wouldn't have to scan them, necessarily. You're making copies of them, but the problem is many of these documents, would have, you know, like personal information on them, different things that have to get redacted.
Okay.
Which is why you can't just say, you know, everything's not, you know, subject to the right to
My
know.
question is, what are we looking for? What are we looking for? We're wasting all this time, good people that work in their office, they can't get their freaking job done. And we're over $8,000 we've already spent in legal fees trying to figure out how to do this.
Not
it's-
on this.
I'm sorry?
Not on the right to know, the latest bill from the attorneys was about $8,700 spent on the recent motions that council has gone through, the past few motions, meetings.
That's separate.
Yeah, okay, well, I'd like to know what we're looking for.
Okay, very fair. I have, very well rushed, mind you, put together a list of documents that are of, concern regarding their, disposal, because I do not actually believe that this is in accordance with the Municipal Records Act and the penalties for, not complying, when you say that you are going to comply, are, removing the bond, and that's not something that I wish to happen to any of our staff. So, I'm not an attorney, I did consult an attorney, and I did consult the entire manual. It's 105 pages of things that you shouldn't destroy before 5 years, 7 years, indefinitely, depending on whether or not it is a thing that is relevant anymore. So, without being able to access any of these materials, because all of us get to the ability to actually vote on these things, and I do not want my own vote to come up against me if I were to go with the party line and say yes for all of these documents. We would definitely have to answer to the fact of we thought that we were in compliance with the Municipal Records Act when we are not. The list is indeed fairly extensive of what would be the exact scope of what exact name of each file and what is the exact concern thereof. I had personally filed right to know requests for the entire storm sewer because I feel that due to the fact that we are paying on a multi-million-dollar loan, there's a fee that others will colloquially call a tax on storm sewer. And we do indeed have residents who have come here tonight to discuss a stormwater problem raging back from decades that we do not have the records for because it's been decades. We have the opportunity.
Wait, who are you talking? You're not talking about packing, is it?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't done by the borough. It was done privately. That culvert that was created, did you see the culvert?
I was told that, our borough did have a little participation in the asphalt up top.
Maybe on,
Please correct me if I'm wrong.
maybe on.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah.
Okay, so
I was
let's.
told that we actually did have
All right, so-
participation in that.
If there's the road, there may be some asphalt. I don't know. You might be right.
In place
But I
of a
know the culvert.
Yeah, it directs it towards the culvert, Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor.
if
you
Yeah, and the
remember
culvert I know was a private.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just a paving. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I do have some things I'd like to say when you're finished.
Yes, so, this is my most stern, vote of no for this, because, but perhaps my concerns could be alleviated by, the following questions. I do understand that when one decides to, destroy a document under the municipal records manual schedule, they do so to, and it's just not a burn bin party, it's an opportunity to convert these to a medium. One of the mediums that was recommended is microfiche. And so are these documents going to be converted to another medium?
No, they're not.
So they will just flat out cease to exist?
Correct.
Okay, I'm just going to recommend that that the solicitor be given time to review this table. I've left a copy of the table at your desk, Mr. Solicitor.
I see papers here, I've not reviewed, obviously, I've not looked at it yet.
Yes, and due to restrictions with me and specifically me interacting with any staff whatsoever, including you, Mr. Solicitor, I did not, in fact, email it in advance, but I definitely can email it now that it's been introduced, and I do have a copy, physical hard copy for anybody who wants to see it. It's just such a significant legal risk about not retaining records that are meant to be held permanently, that people might think that I'm being mean, but Miss Wertz, I don't want you to see you lose your bond over this. And I'm sorry, but I'm going to continue to insist.
Can I ask a question? So
Yes.
you're saying that there are things on the purge list that are supposed to be kept in perpetuity. Can you help everyone here understand what's like? Can you give us a specific about what's on the purge list that, based on your reading of the list, and as you stated, you're not a lawyer, nor am I. Not trying to be here. That's what he's for. What is on that list that is an example of something that you feel should be kept in perpetuity based on your reading of the 100-some page documentation?
Okay, the clearest and foremost one I would say is the borough budget.
The borough budgets are kept in perpetuity. The files that are on the purge list are our working files and our notes when we compile it.
So they're drafts.
Yeah, so they're drafts,
There's
it's
thousands
not the
of
budget.
drafts.
You know, we should try to help the public understand it.
Right.
So we have a very lean administrative staff. We have a borough manager who works her tail off. We have an assistant manager, right? We have a finance director who's concerned about finance. We have a rec person who's concerned about recreational activities. And we have Scott Dillette who's involved. That's it. That's our administrative staff. And Roxanne. Okay, so that's it. You know, we only have that group, and they have to work really hard to get done for the borough residents. I think the borough residents are more concerned about getting the recreation activities and getting all the things out so that they can, that's what they want. They're not worried about records being destroyed. You know, can you tell us, so there's 45 records, so you're gonna have to go through 45 boxes. 45 boxes. You're gonna have to look through the records because you know what records can be destroyed. And so they're set aside at the time you make some kind of a decision that there's, these records, you know, can be destroyed under the act. So you're making a decision and then you share that with the solicitor, right? So, the solicitor's aware, is aware.
By multiple attorneys.
Okay, and so, we're following the act, and now you're gonna have to go back through there to find things that are being requested. And you're gonna have to look, some things will need to be, redacted. So that's all administrative time that will need to be taken by these very few, employees that we have. So Beth, I would ask you, just vote no. Just vote no. You don't have, you know, there's gonna be a motion, destroy the records, let it be 6-1. Let it be 6-1, and then you don't have any responsibility. That's what we pay our solicitor for, and that's what, you know, we pay our borough manager for. you don't have anything to worry about. And if you feel you do, just vote no. It's not a legal risk.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna make a motion that we do adopt.
Mr. B, before we get to the motion, you know, what I'm asking council, what staff is asking is,
Right. What we do
what
now.
should we be prioritizing
Because we're
at
behind
this
from
point
the,
in time?
first of all, the Borough Bulletin, so we need to, give, Ms. Wertz the, authority to have overtime, at least 20
I have
hours
such
to get.
authority, it's just more or less,
Wait.
what would you like us to focus
Wait,
on?
before you vote on that question, can I ask this? Beth, you know, given what you heard tonight, what you heard the staff say, what the public wants, right, public?
This is the problem, with Beth. She was trying to save us money, and she's cost nothing but money.
She's
From the
costing us
get-go.
money
Alright,
over.
We tried to save money, and she's causing it.
Right, costing us with a long audit, costing us.
Withdraw your
with it.
request. That's what I'm asking. Withdraw your request. So that they don't have to parse through what they're gonna be doing.
Is hers the
And
only
vote no.
request?
Vote no. Let it burn.
I just wanna answer the audience question, no, I have, I believe 7, Mrs. Iker just sent an email with, it looks to be, 4 or 5 more attachments, but there's at least 6 requests, from.
Constituents that she solicited.
There's some other individuals, multiple individuals, yes.
Yes,
But they're not asking for a
she
spot.
solicited all those
Still asking for documents
customers.
as required. All of the, just for clarification, all of the right to knows that I'm speaking of at this point in time all refer to items in these 45 boxes, so everyone would have to withdraw their request for us not to undertake this.
I will consider withdrawing my request,
All of them?
yes, all of them,
Just clarifying, thank you.
However, I do have a couple questions first. One, I do understand that, these records do physically exist currently at 100 Borough Park Drive, do they not?
Correct.
Okay, so, if we were to give Mr. Solicitor, another 2 weeks to consider the, this list, to give me the peace of mind, and I will withdraw all of my requests. I do believe that mine are the most burdensome, and the rest are from citizens that have nothing to do with this. However, I also do request that that my requests that were made based on historical merits for things that definitely do not have too much personal information, like back issues of the Borough magazine, to be preserved at, due to the fact that I had to scramble around and call all sorts of citizens to make sure that they knew that these documents were going to be destroyed and they were never to be seen again. And one of those citizens that I called was John Wotus. And they, as a historical society, will, wanted to meet and discuss this right to know list to see if there is anything of historical merit to perhaps preserve, because I don't know if there are perhaps photographs of some good old-fashioned holiday house winners, or if this is just simply paper records. Who knows? Because I don't have the right to know, despite all of these right to knows. But okay.
All right, since you're asking the solicitor to take 2 weeks,
Yeah.
we'll have John Wotus take 2 weeks and, you know, at the same time. And, you know.
Why do we
try your notice?
Why do we need to wait?
Okay, hang on, one second.
Go ahead.
That's like, I was speaking to Courtney earlier this week about a bunch of different things, and I asked a similar kind of question. The Borough magazines, right? We have them sort of all over the borough and different borough buildings and things like that. But the electronic files of what we actually created and like sent to a printer, those are still kept. It's all of their like working drafts that are trying to be purged.
Correct.
So we always have an electronic file of what we ship to the printer.
Not just that, but we do have a physical copy of every magazine or newsletter that this borough has sent out. We
So-
do not destroy those.
Does that help?
Yes, I thought that
store it
that
for
was
you?
part of the destruction list.
No, those are working
The draft.
files on the
The
list.
draft. Oh, yes, yes, of course, of course. And, you know, I just needed to be able to understand more about what this is, because again, I think that this was written rather broadly to make it a, shorter motion, which I completely appreciate. However, I really am quite concerned about the legal issues thereof, so I'm going to ask that we could table it for at least, I did put in the letter to table it perhaps until April 17th, but if that's not, how about April 3rd? April 3rd.
I'm not in favor of it. I'm
When
not
will
saying
it
it's
cost,
gonna-
when will it cost the borough money to keep, when will you have to move them to a storage? What's the exact date you'll have to move?
Immediately, we're drowning in paper. We can't
There's
move,
no
we can't
space.
file 2024 files because we can't move the 2023 files to the archive room because there's no space in the archive room because these documents still
These are
exist.
45 recycling bins. You know how much paper that is? How much storage that is?
Right, it's just, in accordance with the regulations we've been doing for decades, I think that,
Ms. Book, I believe she has a comment.
I will definitely have to move my records immediately. I have 15 boxes. I think in some ways they're creating a fire hazard because they're all stacked, and I can only imagine what 45 boxes are doing.
right, I mean, it's senseless.
Chief, I don't believe that any of the documents under your purview are in,
I can't-
my most amended
I
list.
can't do anything until council votes to.
Well, here's the thing, we don't have to do this at a meeting. I mean, if the solicitor gives assurances to Beth that there are no legal issues and you pull your request, it's done. It doesn't have to
Well,
wait.
there are
till-
still other pending requests from citizens, but they are for less documents, but they still will require staff to review all 45 boxes to find and locate and see what is responsive to their requests and see if it needs
So
redacted.
even if we wait the 2 weeks that she's requesting, we still are gonna have other.
We still have to respond to all the right to know requests, and like I
Unless
said, I
everybody
haven't got them
withdraws.
on, unless everyone were to withdraw them, yes.
And that's gonna take
Okay,
time.
so,
Well, come on, Jim, let's move forward. I made a motion.
Can I just say one
Yeah.
thing legally, right, just to be clear, right, there's, at this moment, right now, all these right to know requests are still pending. Because nothing, you can't, you submit right to know requests in writing, and don't withdraw it in writing, right, I'm not saying that.
That's it.
And there's the number that just came in the last day, I'm not even seeing it, right? But the ones that are actually pending, cover the documents that are gonna be purged, or, destroyed. You can't destroy the documents while there's a pending review of the right to know, right? So,
Okay.
That could go on forever.
well, no, I mean, but
Yeah, it
I
could.
suppose.
Yeah, it could. Somebody else could file one right after that.
Well, right, but what, I don't know.
We're wasting time, we're wasting
So
money.
you're saying that
These people
the
don't, they
Beth
don't wanna pay for this.
agrees to
Right.
withdraw, it has to be in writing.
Yeah, but then, again, the idea is there's still other right to
yeah,
know.
I'm sorry, there's.
I know.
Can the elected officials
Can we
help
ask
the?
questions?
Yes, ask a question now.
Would you please, Bethwyn, what are you looking for? How much will this cost this borough, the residents? What do you need to know? Can you volunteer your time to maybe sit and go through the document?
I would absolutely
She
would,
can't
but
do
I
that.
cannot.
She can't do that.
She's not allowed to.
We would still have to dedicate a staff member to monitoring the individual.
Would you like to agree to pay overtime wages?
I have submitted the most recent, right to know request to agree to pay $3,600.
Those only cover copying fees, they don't cover the redaction, legal fees, or staff time.
So it's a lot more.
Yes.
So,
And I would like to also say that one of the things that I would like the citizens to know before they say yawn, I don't think that this applies to me, is Mr. Palusa did bring up again for the second time in a row regarding the assessments and the building permits and linking them to the assessments. And I so noted that issue in the list. So if we're not going to respect that request, then we're not gonna ever respect that request.
he's talking about building permits happening now, right now.
Talking
What he
about
wants,
probably over the last 3 years.
so what he wants is the building permits for recent building permits to influence people's assessments, so that the tax burden can be spread equally among, if you have a house that's worth $300,000 and another person has a house that's worth $300,000, you're both paying the same taxes. And so that's what, so again, none of those records have anything to do with.
I beg to differ because the county did do assessments last in 2009. And how else could we possibly reconcile since none of these files are digital as per the conversation that I had with Ms. Wertz in writing concerning my questions regarding these right to know documents.
Okay, I'm not referring to a county-wide reassessment that took place back in 2009. I'm talking about actions that are being taken over roughly the last 3 years that are basically sitting in somebody's inbox, for want of a better way of describing it.
So it's not,
Okay,
it's
very
not
well.
like.
And we don't work at the county.
It's in Allegheny County.
That's county problem, not ours.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are we gonna do? You can't force the county to move any faster than what they do. The state only moves so fast, county only moves so fast, and that's it. Cities move only so fast. You can push them all you want, and they're not gonna move any faster.
All right, so Beth, if the solicitor gives you assurances, you withdraw your motions, and then I realize there are others, but I know, we can find out who those others are, and maybe they'll,
Absolutely, I will be happy to withdraw my motions, my right to know, all of them, 100%.
So that's in the, Mr. Urban, you said you have.
You have to wait right here.
but you have to,
Of course, email communications are fine, that's how they proceed. That's a separate,
I understand, so Beth Lynn is going to submit to you in writing, withdrawing the right to know. Correct?
After he has
gets
read,
assurances that.
yeah,
it's
after
not a
he has
problem.
read my list, yes.
Okay,
I just haven't read it yet, I can't. I just
Yeah,
got it.
that's fair. Thank you.
yes.
Thank you, everyone.
So that's an understanding.
Thank
And the
you.
solicitor also notified the other right to know requesters, and perhaps they can rescind their requests.
I'll just say that it's not proper for the borough solicitor to discourage
I see
residents
what
from
you're
filing.
saying.
Right.
But were these people encouraged by you, Beth? You mentioned talking to John Lotus and other people. Were they encouraged by you? Would you have influence with them?
I could,
John-
go back to the, Historical Society President, Mr. John Wotus, and tell him that this, body did not see fit to, let him see if there were any photographs of interest to the Historical
Wait a
Society.
second, wait, let me deal with the Historical Society. The Whitehall Borough Historical Society is under the office of mayor. And so, I want John to speak for it, but I can assure you, all John has to do is look at the list.
I spoke with Mr. Wooders. I'm
Okay.
in regular contact with him and Mr. Paluso, members of the Historical Society.
They have a great relationship.
I like to think we do, how correct me, I'm very mindful of their aims and I try to assist where I can. I did speak with Mr. Lotus, and he indicated that the Historical Society as a body did not, well, number one, he or the body did not file a right to know. I just wanna make that clear. Mr. Lotus
Yes,
or the.
that I did myself on
Correct.
their
Mr. Lotus-
interest.
Mr. Lotus indicated that that was not their directive or direction
Yes,
for others to
yes.
do that on their behalf.
Okay.
We have a
No,
great working
I didn't mean to
relationship, and
imply
I
that.
intend to continue working with Al, Sal, all of the group, and that's not an issue. I wanna
And we
clarify
should point out that it was Courtney's idea to give the street signs to the,
It was Dave
Eric-
Porter, but I highly
okay,
encouraged
Dave
it.
Porter, okay, to give the street signs to the Historical Society, and it raised $15,000.
Courtney.
Selling these street
And I do wanna say that the Historical Society's been fantastic in keeping me in the loop. They took me on a tour of Jefferson's, Historical Society and what they're doing over there, and what they intend to use their funds for, and, I think it's a great group. I think they have a lot of potential.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, then, I will, then give it 2 weeks,
Okay,
then.
okay, so as far as our motion,
I don't believe there's a
Really
motion.
can't
At
be.
first, my direction is, well, knowing, I guess, that, or pending the withdrawal of at least some of these right to knows, I just want to alert council that you can't expect an increase in overtime,
absolutely.
so that we can get a spring issue of the Borough magazine
Okay.
now. So just putting that on your radar, and then I believe I can jump into my report if you'd like to make
Okay.
a motion in regards to this purge resolution. The purge resolution, has been on public display. This motion was in fact tabled at the last meeting on February 21st, so I again ask that council, read it in summary form and consider adoption. Pending.
Again, just before, I mean, I don't wanna jump in during discussion, I just wanna jump in ahead. So, just to be clear, right, if you, even if this is, it's adopted, you can't destroy, the borough can't go through with destroying any documents until the right to know request, government documents on the list are satisfied.
Yeah, how about pending the approval of the solicitor?
But the problem with that is it's a, we've got it's a resolution, right, this is a motion, it's pending, so we've got a, kind of a written resolution that's described, that's not, you can't just, it's been on display for 2 weeks, so it's like you can amend the pending, so, we could adjust it for the next meeting if necessary, or, it's hard to do it subject to in that setting. So that's what you're, in theory, if you adopted, if you adopt the purge resolution as it is, it's in place, right, just so you understand, it just wouldn't, you couldn't take any
You couldn't
action
take
on it.
effect.
Until the right to know.
Okay, so you're not gonna amend the resolution.
No.
They can vote on the resolution, and everybody has to understand that nothing can be done
Right.
until the
Move
right
forward
to know
until-
requests are addressed.
There'd be like, what would be,
All right.
identified, it'd be a hold until it would get resolved, until
Okay.
all litigation
Okay,
requests.
I'm all right
all
with
right to-
that.
All right
I'll
to know
still vote
requests relative to the purge resolution would have to be resolved.
Okay,
All right.
they have the, motion,
I believe Mrs. Pugh made a motion to read it in summary form.
Yeah, make a motion to read it.
Motion second.
I'll take a second.
Okay.
It's just.
motion made and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Okay, 6-1.
I don't oppose, but there is zero chance that anything we destroy could come back to bite the borough in the butt. Okay, right?
Correct. I
So
will say
that's all.
staff, myself in particular, having done this for a decade, is very well versed in those 105
I
pages.
just wanted that to be on the record. Thank you
Absolutely.
very much.
Okay.
Yes, yes,
Please
yes,
read
yes.
this, works.
I believe it was a vote 6-1.
Yes.
A resolution of the Borough of Whitehall, Allegheny County, Commonwealth, Pennsylvania. Purge resolution is just the name of it. So I would then ask for a, motion to adopt resolution 1132.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Book,
Yes.
Mrs. Depew,
Yes.
Mrs. Iker,
no,
Mr. Lucetti,
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Soborowski,
Yes.
Mr. V.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on my list, as there continues to be a vacancy in the finance department, former finance director Vince Evans has agreed to come in and assist in closing out fiscal year 2023. Before you, included in part of your packet, is a letter of engagement that we sent to him to serve as an independent contractor for accounting services, and I ask that council enter into that contract or ratify it.
May I ask a question about this? In the past, when there is a vacancy, obviously, council accepts resignations and makes motions to terminate, correct? And in the past, we've done this. So why is there a vacancy? What is going on?
We have parted ways with our former finance director. There is currently a vacancy.
Normally, don't we have that publicly stated? Because we've got rid of planning and zoning people and.
These are
People-
these are employees of the borough,
So-
they're not appointed,
Right.
these are not
Employees
appointed
are
officials.
different
Employees are
than-
completely different, there's a whole, there are personnel, issues that aren't public matters. When you're appointing a public official to the zoning hearing board, the planning commission, those are, they're appointed officials, in public things. So those are the ones that come before, the borough council. As far as hiring goes, hiring of employees, that falls within the discretion of the borough manager. However, just to be clear, Mr. Yevons is not an employee of the borough. He is an independent contractor serving
Right. I was asking about the vacancy, just because in the past, like you said, whenever we had
employees
people on the.
employees are
planning
considered
board.
service. They have different protections and such.
Thank you.
I do have a question regarding Mr. Yevons. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about his work, and it really, I would love to be able to approve this. I just need to know that this is not a issue with ethics, considering that he had received compensation for the borough through a portion of 2023. And I understand that you cannot contract with a former employee. So, Mr. Solicitor, can you give me some assurance on that regarding his termination date? Because I don't know
It's been over a
his
year.
termination date.
Mr. Yevons retired from the
Right.
borough.
In,
I don't recall the exact date.
It's no different than consulting, isn't it?
no, it's not a violation.
It's not a reemployment. The solicitor drafted this letter and it doesn't matter.
People retire and consult all the time. so-
There's
All
not
right,
a
let's
violation.
move on this, let's take a motion.
I'll motion for it.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion's made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous?
Next up, I have the annual Baldwin Township swimming pool agreement. They have returned a signed copy, and I ask that council authorize the proper borough officials to sign the agreement.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Motion made and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's unanimous.
Next up, I just wanted to let council know that Public Works did take delivery of their 2 new trucks this week. They're currently being outfitted and they're road ready, minus some lettering, should snow fall. But currently the Public Works Supervisor and myself are discussing, or evaluating placing the trucks on municipal and or keeping them as a spare. The police department will be getting their new vehicles later this year and putting, their vehicles on municipal, so we have some time before we have to make that decision to list it. And then last, Mr. Russwise and myself had a meeting with the Baldwin Manor Association on February 29th to discuss their request to temporarily store items on borough property as they perform a stream improvement project on their property. Before you should have a map of Union Park and the location in question. They're requesting to store some river rock at that grassy entrance to Union Park. It is red on, well, if you have it in color, it's the red square. This would be for approximately 1 week in June, and Mr. Russwise and myself see no issue with this request. I do believe Michelle, from the Baldwin Manor Association is here if there are any questions.
I
Any
think,
questions?
Michelle is so articulate.
No.
On what the program is.
Don't come in.
Can I put you on the spot and have you tell me what the program is? I become your
You
disciple.
are putting me on the spot. My name is Michelle Crowley. I serve as treasurer on the Baldwin Manor Association, but I'm also the chair for the Stream Restoration Committee. And our group has been working really hard for the last 2 years to secure funding because we do have a big issue with erosion in the park. And so in December, we received a grant from the Foundation for Key Watersheds for $26,000. In addition to that, with our own in-kind labor and direct funding that we're taking from our park association, the project will be around $40,000. So it's the biggest project we've ever undertaken, but the reason why we came to the borough is because accessibility, getting down to that upper culvert is very difficult, and so we were just asking for temporarily just staging the materials at that time, getting them off the property. We also assured Courtney that the contractor that we are hiring is going to be licensed and fully insured, and so we also will make sure that anything that is damaged from the rock will be restored and reseeded and so forth. So but yeah,
That's great, make the whole process faster and easier for everybody.
It really should go quick. There's gonna be, like, we're relying heavily on our volunteers to do the site prep, so we have a couple weekends into that prior, but that will be on park property, and then once the project itself happens, if we have great weather, it'll be done in 7 days. And then we will have extra work at the end to do restoration on our own property, so.
And this,
Yeah.
and you were advised by the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy?
Correct, yeah, so the design did not come from us, it came from, we also aligned ourselves with the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy. We've been working with the watershed scientist there, and he has come to the site on a couple of occasions and took some measurements and data and things like that. So his design it's actually his design, so it will be for the first 100 feet of the stream from that upper culvert is what we're trying to address, so.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Before, so I believe,
Yes.
Jay said it was a
Yes, I would like to recuse myself from this vote as being a former member of Baldwin Manor Association. My wife is a current member, and I'm also on the Stream Restoration Committee with Michelle. So I'm talking with Mr. Furman, recuse myself.
Well, if it comes down to 3-3, I'll vote.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion that we authorize.
for years.
Never wait.
We haven't had a vote yet.
No,
All right, I'm gonna make a motion that we authorize Baldwin Manor Association to store the river rock at the entrance of the Union Park for 1 week in June.
Second.
Motion's made second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's unanimous. Thank you.
That is all that I
Is
have.
that all you have? Thank you, Ms.
Courtney, good job.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm proud of what you did.
Then we have the other half of our administration office, our assistant manager, Alyssa Regala. No
I
report.
would like to thank Alyssa and Hannah, who is unfortunately out sick today, for being here with these some very long days, early mornings, weekends.
And weekends.
And it is much appreciated.
I know, and you wouldn't tell me otherwise, but I see your cars all the time because my mom lives there at the residence at Whitehall. I get to see my mom every morning, 7 a.m. Your cars are here. I leave at night. Your cars are here. I visit my mom on the weekend. Your cars are here. It doesn't go unnoticed. It's much appreciated. I know the residents do too.
Thank you.
Committee reports. Public Works, Mrs. Aker.
Thank you. We held the first ever public meeting of the Public Works on February 27th. We had 3 citizens' comments. One was Ms. Knezevich, who had also continued to expand on her citizens' comments with the assistance of Ms. Shepherd tonight, so I will not belabor that topic. Mr. John Parvati discussed his desire for Henning Drive, is it, to go ahead and have that on a paving schedule at some point, and I had discussed with Mr. Parvati that it was on a long list that Mr. Russmer showed me, but I would like to ask Mr. Russmer again, may I please have yes, can I please have an email of that? That would be greatly appreciated. All right, and it came down to, as far as I can tell, is that there is a road that's parallel to Henning called Rain Tree that will be paved this year, which is, objectively speaking, in need of paving. We did have one citizen's comments directly regarding the topic of the meeting, which was, trash cans in parks, which is, Mr. Jerry Rachel, who lives right near, Snyder Park, and he, is troubled by the fact that, trash will often blow into his yard, and he gets to witness other, activities in his backyard, considering that the fence that, goes from the Snyder Park does not fully extend to at least the point of the pavilion, and perhaps it should extend a little more due to the troubles that he discussed regarding the, this, with parking at large events at, that very, park. So, he had mentioned that he had asked this body for a fence to be constructed by Public Works, and I, do remember, and I looked up in the minutes, there was one in circa April of 2022, and then there was, another in, late summer of 2023 regarding the fence, and there, I was physically present for the time that was in 2023 where the fence was discussed, and there was some discussion about, well, can we have Public Works install a fence to demarc the border between a neighbor's house and the park's house, and my lay opinion is yes, because we already do it, and we already do it in Frank Park, for example. But I'd like to ask Mr. Solicitor to look into this so that we can get this going, so that we don't have to continue to have the conversation multiple times with this particular resident.
What do you want the solicitor to?
There was some discussion last time in 2023 regarding the legalities of installing a fence.
I don't, my recollection is this.
Okay.
That, I think the borough was receptive to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when we looked into the price, wasn't it the price that, so it wasn't that you couldn't do it, it was that the price was much higher than we thought.
Public Works was unable or did not feel confident that they themselves could build off the existing fence. So we did look at quotes. This was an unbudgeted line item. If I recall, it was in $6,000 or $7,000. Currently, as you know, the Snyder Park is being discussed or has been discussed for renovation plans next. I think the Parks Committee, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Dupuy, was of the opinion doing something was.
My whole report's been stolen.
It didn't seem appropriate to look at such a small part of the park when the entire park was being reviewed for potential renovation. I've spoken with Mr. Rachel, I spoke with him after the Public Works Committee meeting. I've assured him that for this summer, that certainly the summer rec program that is there and Public Works that is there every day during the work day, we'll be photographing and keeping an eye on the conditions to see if we can determine if this is related to maybe some borough activity, private activity, to get a better handle on it. And it is a priority for us to do what we can on borough property, you know, mindful of the fact that we cannot send staff on private property to construct anything. But I've been in touch with him, I've spoken with him, the Parks Committee is evaluating. I won't steal much more of your report.
So it can be done. It's just, it was a matter of price, and so, you know, it's up to you at this point. But I want you to go under the, you know, the right, have the right path.
Yes, I wanted to know that, the resident was updated on that, continuing request. Thank you very much. And I do want to note that I did, conduct this report without any conversations with anyone who works in public works or anyone who works at the borough, for the exception of Ms. Wertz in respect to the motion that is on our agenda later on today to respect that. However, I did have one comment regarding that is that one of the reasons why I understand that this is different committee than any other committee, such that it is totally inappropriate for me and for really anybody in the public works area to ever have any conversations with anybody at Public Works is due to the fact of there being union employees. And I did look up their union contract, and what it does say in the union contract is that council has the final authority regarding hiring and firing and other forms of discipline of the laborers. And there also is a chain of command regarding discussing union grievances. And I would advise anybody to look up the union of the Luna Labor Union of 1058. And that perhaps if the folks have any other issues that they could directly contact their union representative on site or their union representative, but I am inclined to continue to stay out of it. However, I do want to continue to ask in public, has a public works laborer been hired at this time?
No, we're interviewing this week.
Okay, outstanding. I look forward to seeing that recommendation as the rest of this council ought. But I am completely staying out of those sorts of interviews. And why yes, there has been in the past, not me, people who have alleged in rumor that there has been a conflict of interest between council and Public Works, and I certainly would not want to absolutely do that. I do appreciate the Public Works dearly. I thought that I was doing nothing but complimenting them. As far as I can tell, all of my interactions have been pleasant. Perhaps somebody has submitted a complaint about me. So therefore, I will definitely continue to recuse myself from any interactions with Mr. Harris moving forward unless for the expressed written permission of Ms. Schwartz. With that said, I will continue to have these types of public conversations during council to ask Ms. Wertz about anything regarding Public Works that comes to my attention. I am also a member of the Lions Club, and the Lions Club would like to install their sign for the that's the road sign, that the circle that has a big L, Lions, Whitehall Lions. The discussion in that body turned out to be that they were of the opinion that they had given it their sign to Public Works for installation years ago, over the location that was discussed was offset of Brownsville on 51 near the, Welcome to Whitehall sign. But, if you could please check into it to see if, there was this, Lions Club sign perhaps somewhere in the garage.
I'm not aware of such a donation, but I will ask.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Bethany.
Yeah, that's all I have to report.
All right, thank you. Moving on to public safety, Mr. V.
All right, just be quick, thank you, Madam President. The Emergency Management Coordinator forward registration information for the overview of the Incident Command System for Senior Office Officials and Executive Force to Mr. Soborowski, Mr. Massetti, Mrs. Thomas, and Ms. Zeiger. You're aware of the course of the, okay, good.
I think I got your email.
I think you have to get that proof of that, I think you need that.
Is that the NIMS?
Didn't I get a thing sent to my house, I believe, I turned it up, if I'm not mistaken, do you get like an actual certificate mailed to your house? Cause I did get I remember getting a certificate, I could have swore I sent it over.
The certificate, if you have it, I never received it.
If you have that in your
All you have to do is just give me a copy if you attend it.
Well, how do I get that cause I believe I was mailed, if I'm not mistaken, I did that, what, like 2 years ago or a year ago, something like
It
that?
may have been emailed.
It may have been, because I'm fairly confident that I
can reach
turned it
out
over.
to, I can reach out to Allegheny County Emergency Services to see if they ever.
Cause I know I took the course, and I'm fairly confident I turned over the paper, but, I'll look again, I got your email,
Okay, thank you.
We're good? Okay. Also, the Police Communications Center and Emergency Management Coordinator now have access to the Borough GIS mapping software. This will enable first responders to have an update of aerial views, all structures, property lines, sanitary and infrastructure. Basically what that is, we're gonna have, the service provides an aerial view of the schools, and hopefully we don't have any kind of.
It does the whole community. It's almost kind of looking like a Google map that's customized for Whitehall with all the property information and the boundaries and some of the utility lines that run through it. The other nice feature of it, and thanks to Gateway IT Department, I think manages this. GIS, they're gonna look to set up a special feature for this department of emergency management where we can go in and file documents specific to commercial structures like schools. We can put the floor plans in there. We can put our critical response information in there. In the event something happens, we have online access to this from the police cars, where we can pull everything up. And I'd like to thank Ms. Worth for all her help in connecting us with Gateway to get this done.
That's awesome. Wonderful.
That's my report.
Yeah, I think that this is a great thing. I just wanted to ask, because we did purchase the same GIS licenses, were these able to be leveraged to make this, this transition more smoothly? Or is this just additional?
There are multiple licenses for the GIS program. What Gateway is doing for the police department is building what's called a layer that will meet their needs in addition to layers that the Planning, Zoning, and Code Office already uses.
It'll be unique to the police department and emergency management. Okay. It's gonna be paid for out of the emergency management budget.
Okay, great.
Good. Thank you. Administrative Services, Mrs. Depew.
I have nothing to report right now.
Thank you. Planning and Zoning, Mr. Buccetti.
Yes. First to note, there will be a planning commission meeting next Wednesday, or planning commission meeting next Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. On the agenda is the continued discussion on amending the limited amusement arcade regulations. Planning and Zoning Committee will be meeting on March 14th at 5 p.m. to discuss and review applicants for the vacant planning commission seat. Applicants submitted responses to follow-up questions on February 26th, and the intent is to move forward with a recommendation to council for appointing someone to the vacant position. Additionally, on our agenda before council is a motion that was discussed by Mr. Gillette last week. Is that something I read?
Well, if you want to, but we need a motion to read it in summary form. It is the resolution for the plan revision for a new land development for DEP planning module for Clean Express Auto Wash at 2929 Claritin Boulevard. So we need a motion to
Motion to move in summary form?
read something. Yes.
Second.
Motion's made and second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Please read.
It is a resolution of the council members of Whitehall Borough, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, regarding section 5 of the Act of January 24th, 1966, also known as the Pennsylvania Sewage Facilities Act.
Are you continuing to read? or is-
No, it's just a summary.
All right. My question is this down lower 51 or up?
Yes, yes.
Okay, the reason why I say that, it's probably Sawmill Run Boulevard and not Clear.
So the property is both in Whitehall and in Brentwood. And I believe they use different addresses. That is part of the discussion that both Mr. Gillette and Mr. Westmeisel had in this.
I thought when you cross Brownsville Road, where Baldwin High School is, that's where Clairton Road begins. And down below Sawmill Run, or run downhill, but it doesn't matter to me, I just,
Good point, paying attention.
So that being said, I would ask for a motion to adopt the resolution 1133.
So moved. Second.
Motion's made and second, roll call please.
Ms. Book?
Yes?
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes.
Mrs. Iker?
Yes.
Mr. Lucetti?
Yes.
Mrs. Thomas?
Yes.
Mr. Soborowski?
Yes.
Mr. Beach?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
And one final note, there's a zoning hearing board has been scheduled for March 19th, 2024.
Okay.
I have a question. What's the status with the possible interviewees?
Status?
Yeah.
I just noted that next, was it the 14th at 5 p.m., the planning committee is going to meet to review the applicants and make a recommendation from that council on the following meeting.
How many are there?
There are 4 applicants.
Only 3 responded.
Yeah, only 3 responding to the questions, but overall 4 applicants.
Okay, thank you. Next we have library, Ms. Thomas, Mrs. Thomas.
Madam President, the library board will be meeting next week on the 13th, so we will have a report the following week on the 20th.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll
Nice
wait
and
for
fast.
that.
Thank
Any
you.
questions for Mrs. Thomas? Thank you. Recreation, Mr. Soborowski, you don't have Ms. Hannah here.
Yeah. And we didn't have a recreation meeting yet for this month, so, hopefully we'll probably definitely have a bunch of stuff for you next month.
I
Mr.
believe we have
Soborowski.
a member of the rec board here that.
Oh, I'm
speak.
sorry.
That's fine.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm Teresa Lucetti. I'm a member of the rec board. This month's meeting is on the 11th at 7 p.m. here in the room. We did have our Kids of Steel practice this month. That's the biggest activity that we had. We have the Pittsburgh Marathon group is the one that we are part of that team for the Whitehall site. Just to note, we are the only Kids of Steel site in the Baldwin Whitehall area. The school district does not have one. It is only the rec board. So we have PPR came. The actual marathon group came and ran our practice, and it was a really good bonding experience with the kids that came. There was about 20 kids that came, and we overall should exceed our registration for the actual marathon on May 4th coming up. So that was the biggest thing.
Thank you.
Keeping kids healthy.
I saw the pictures, they looked really excited.
That's
so cute.
Okay.
Mr. Soborowski, I'd like to say that I will be attending the March 11th because I am on that committee, and I would like to expand more on the trash in the parks before that committee, as well as some interesting ideas that I have concerning recycling whenever it's possible. And I would like, yes, I would like to know, Mr. Mayor, when is your committee or commission, I'm sorry, for the environment, because I would like to attend and make that sort of presentation as well.
This Tuesday coming up. So I will see what I can do to get you an invite so you can talk about it.
Okay, fantastic. Yes, and what time is the recreation board meeting?
7 p.m.
Fantastic, I will be here.
The Tuesday meeting is at 7:30.
All right. Fantastic.
All right. Okay, thank you. And then final Parks Committee, Mrs. Bethune.
Yes, I do have a few things. First off, I asked the gentleman about the Red Cross board to give me a call. I have questions about
The soccer.
the soccer. How permanent it is, et cetera, that I'd like to discuss with him first, and then we'll come back and include it in our report. Secondly, I don't wanna bring it up at the next meeting, it'll be at least 2 meetings away, but I think we need to start thinking about what order we want to do the parks program in. We have to finish Overlook at some point, we have Snyder that we have plans for, when are we going to do it? We have pickleball, we take it out of Snyder, do we put it put it somewhere first, and do we worry about pickleball first and then Snyder? Or do we let the pickleball people hang while we do Snyder? And the other thing is I'd like you to take a look at some of the fencing. The fencing in, Frank Park is bad. I think it's bad in Overlook too, but by the time it gets green, you'll never see it. The fencing is up on the hillside, but
We never replaced that, did we?
No,
we never replaced
we
it.
didn't wanna get into the expense of that, that's.
Right, and I'm not,
Yeah, I know.
just think about this, and then think about, because what I feel, Courtney needs is, what order do we wanna do these things in? You know, if she sees a grant for fencing, that might move it up, but meanwhile, she needs to know what our plan is, what we
Right.
wanna do first, second, third, fourth. So please, just give it some thought.
Thanks,
That's it.
Any questions for Kathy?
Yes, is there a public meeting of the parks? Because I had
No.
a citizen who had, expressed some interest in, making some donations towards, pickleball/basketball surfacing.
Just have them come up, to one of our meetings here.
Okay, all right, so, I'll see if I can't, connect you over email then.
Okay.
All right, fantastic, thank you.
Thank you. And there's a lot of moving parts here, you have to manage all the parks and the timing and everyone's requests. So I knew been on for years, thank you, Kathy. Okay, so I'm gonna give, this is the delegate reports. Right now, the Allegheny County Boroughs Association and Allegheny League giving us a packet. Kathy and I are both members. And tomorrow evening at Green Tree, I have my quarterly board meeting. And then we'll be discussing possible resolutions as a board that we send up to PSAB in Harrisburg. PSAB is the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs. Very effective for our boroughs throughout the state. We have quite a few up there, like I talked about before at our council meetings. So it's very important. We're gonna produce some possible resolutions tomorrow night to present, and whatever we do have, we'll come back to council at the next meeting and let you know what we're gonna propose up there. The deadline up there is April 3rd for the annual conference that's held in Hershey. And that's when the board votes on everything, and if it gets passed, then we have our folks from PSAB go up to Harrisburg, the capital, and promote them for us. So, you know, so far we still have some sitting up there, but it's worth our time and efforts. So, we're doing that tomorrow evening, and as I said, June at Hershey with the Pennsylvania State Association of Boroughs, which Kathy and I both serve on the Board of Trustees, and I serve as a Board of Directors. And it's an organization that covers the entire state of Pennsylvania, and Kathy Depew, if a lot of you don't know, was president of this entire state for a year. And then she did a superb job, so I just wanted to make that, yeah. So, yeah. You guys come to the council meeting, so that's one of the two folks, as everyone here does. So next we have, well, I don't know if anyone's in the Chamber of Commerce.
Is Hannah gonna be attending that?
Actually, well, Hannah, if she is feeling better,
Okay.
both are slated to attend tomorrow. Myself, the manager of, Bolton Borough and Brentwood Borough have invited to speak.
Did you say to sing?
To speak.
Speak.
I'm giving you too much credit.
Thank you. Okay, next our Mercer Board of Directors, Mr. Ruccetti.
Yes, Mercer met on February 28th. Last week, the Board of Directors voted to offer Douglas DeForest the Executive Director position, which was vacant for the past year. He accepted and will begin on March 26th. The new interim Chief of Operations also laid out his goals and focuses for the next 2 months. And I think this has been said many times in the past year, but among the needs, and this is something all of public safety has, among the needs are replacement ambulances and getting a bid out as soon as possible. It has been mentioned to council in the past, but the costs and lead times are worth reminding. Early cost estimates are $380,000, and it's a 24 to 27 month lead time that they are looking into. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions from Mr. Ricchetti?
Did they say how many ambulances we might need to replace by chance?
They didn't say the number, but it's multiple.
Okay, well, thank you. Shaycog, Mr. Veith, asked me to attend in his absence, and, our borough, the, Baldwin Borough is where we had the meeting on February 22nd. A presentation was made by the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission on Environmental Programs regarding a climate pollution reduction implementation grant. And that's some information I'll send to you, Ms. Worson, if you don't already have that in your file. Because I know you're superb at getting us grants too.
My best.
And you sure do, so. And also, it was discussed, the Route 51 flood study is in progress, and the deadline for the project to be completed is December 31, 2024, because of the ARPA funding role, the funds they received for that, so that's good. And then, I know this was, there is a community development block grant, a CDBG, and Allegheny County was considering to increase the minimum dollar value of projects. Instead of going out for $20,000, they wanted to increase it to $50,000 for a project, and that would have been very competitive funding. It would have been not good for the boroughs, and they decided to retract that, so they're not gonna do that. Just find that out. And this month, Whitehall Borough is gonna be hosting the Shaycog here in our building.
What room is that gonna be available for?
Community room upstairs.
Upstairs. Okay, aren't you all set for that?
Yes.
I only anticipate, 25 people.
Yeah, we have
Probably.
22 members and, plus the staff, so 25 is good, I
25.
think.
And that's on March 21st.
Right. Okay.
Thanks for covering that.
Oh, absolutely, my pleasure. And Mr. Veith was a past president of Shaycog too. You got it all here. Mr. Mayor, president of the League Association. We gotta keep it going now. Okay, under new business, we have consideration of the following motions. So to authorize the borough solicitor to prepare an ordinance restricting borough employees other than the borough manager to speak to elected officials unless otherwise authorized by the borough manager.
May I say something?
Yes.
I understand the motive behind the motion. However, I believe it is foolish considering everybody ran on transparency, and this is essentially censorship of our borough employees. It's also essentially unenforceable, and it would be a waste of taxpayer money to have the solicitor draft such an ordinance. And I have a few questions, if you wouldn't mind me asking regarding to this, to maybe clarify some of my concerns, or, ease some of my concerns about this. One question would be, what if there was a, complaint about the borough manager themselves? Whose responsibility would it be to assure that that complaint got to council? Right, because then she would have to essentially be reporting on herself, right? If it goes,
Again, I've not started drafting this ordinance, this resolution, this change to the, for the employee manual, but, as a rule, you would have a carve out for whistleblower, complaints about, supervisors, things like that would be an exception for the borough employees. And also there'd be, authorization that says by the borough manager or by borough council, so if borough council authorized it as a whole, would be allowed to do it. So those carve outs would happen as part of the details of this, document.
do you think that somebody could see this and it would deter them from whistleblowing,
Well, not if there's an express provision.
Okay.
Right, and that's provided.
Then the next question is, so like, you're not allowed to speak to any no borough employee is allowed to speak to an elected official. So
It
I
would be
get-
during, it would be during work hours.
It would be, so if I got pulled over in Whitehall, I would say, you can't talk to me, call court.
It would be during work hours, and again, it's, you know, in the line of their business, you know, that, this wouldn't govern the.
You know, it's silly.
It's not that
It's
you
silly.
can't talk,
This is silly.
you just have to, you know, say to the borough manager, I would like to talk to Eric Harris about such and such, and then, you know.
Yeah, but the situation that I get, so that if they see me and pull me
Well,
over, then, oh God,
Yeah.
I gotta call Courtney to talk to Stone, or, you know, it's just plain silly.
Well,
It's
you're
just
thinking
plain
about
ridiculous.
Eric, he was singing Courtney's praises at Borough Plunge.
What are we talking about, Eric?
Well, cause who else would there be? I mean, there's the
I
five.
said if I'm pulled over by the police.
Oh, the police.
Yes.
Obviously.
Stone, you wouldn't.
Well,
you
obviously I
wouldn't-
would, obviously I would, but that just goes to show.
Two more problems than just worried about speaking to
This is
a police
absolutely
officer.
ridiculous.
It's not gonna get you out of a ticket.
Right. And then the other.
I carry my warning around, you know, from parking.
If this passes and then I have a recreation meeting, you know, the March 11th, and God forbid Hannah has to ask me a question about something, do I have to make sure, you know, we gotta call Courtney and make sure she could ask me a question, you know, this is just, it gets out of line, and I think those examples kind of show, you know, this is just plain stupid.
We also can't interrupt the everyday workings.
You're
of our
right, and you're right, that's
department,
why I
so,
said I
you know,
see the
that's why we
motive of
have
it, but I think we should try to find something different
I
than
think,
this,
I think
and we
we're
could
trying to set up
brainstorm.
a chain of command is what it is, basically.
Exactly.
You know, most of us work under chain of command, I know I did, and that's all it is, you know?
What do you recommend in replacement, Stone?
Let's just talk about it. I'd like to talk, I don't know.
Okay, so let's talk right now.
I mean, there hasn't been an issue until not that long ago, so why not just keep it how it is? You know,
Well,
and
I
just say,
think-
don't do that, don't do,
We have traditionally done that. We have not spoken as a council over the years. And just recently, there was an article in the PSAB magazine recommending that it get put in writing rather than just be tradition.
maybe
And I
let's
think
start by,
that's what
maybe you
brought it
could
up.
print that article out and we could start by all reading that.
It's in there, bro.
Well, what, yeah,
Okay, I don't.
He's just.
do you think we could maybe
That might be
postpone
the
because this,
issue
I mean, this is,
It was under the question.
it's on the question.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, maybe find that and then we could look over it before we make a irrational decision.
Well, it's not irrational in any means, we have to keep order.
Is that a
Continuity
violation
in
of
the
like
borough,
people's
you know.
First Amendment rights too? I mean, you can't talk,
It's a matter of what we've always done, and people comply with how our borough runs as a business, and you have to respect that. And that's all we're trying to do, like Kathy said, just put it in writing, something we've always done. Yeah, but if we have to put it in writing, we have to put it in writing, so that's what this motion's about. So we have a motion,
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I oppose, it's just totally, absolutely silly. It's a total waste of
Beth
time.
Lynn?
I'm going to say yes, because I'll have the opportunity to look at the Borough, magazine to see what that entails, and we can discuss it further once we see the motion that is, provided to, for the ordinance rather, that is provided to make sure that these, types of things are addressed in the same manner.
Okay, so it's a vote of 6-1, motion carries. And last we have to provide council members with borough issued emails. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, I have no problem with that at all.
Second?
Okay. Motion's made second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's unanimous.
I have one more motion
Does that
that
include
somebody
the
brought up to me that I didn't get to make
Does
yet.
that include the mayor?
Yes.
Yes, okay, all right, thank you.
I'm sorry, what's that, Stan?
Are we doing new business now?
I had one
That is,
more.
yeah, we're under new business.
Okay, sure.
Somebody brought up to me that I would like to, I didn't get a chance to, present it. I'd like to motion that we allow citizens 1 minute at the end of the meeting to talk, regarding agenda information only. Cause a lot of times we go through these meetings and there are people that have questions and they're not privy to this information until after the meeting, so if they could just simply ask the question after the meeting, you know, give them a chance, we might be able to clarify some questions, right? Because a couple of times we got, you know, slammed the gavel down and, you know.
Well, no, in our council meetings, when someone wants to speak, you let them speak and ask a question. We already, in Whitehall Borough, we have a 3-minute prior to the, meeting start. Citizens can speak whatever they wanna speak about. It's not limited to agenda items like a lot of, boroughs, townships, and municipalities are.
Right.
That's why they have a minute afterward. Now, so I say there's no reason to add another minute. You have, our citizens have 3 minutes prior to talk about whatever they want, they're not limited. And when you have questions, like tonight, let folks speak. So I don't see any
But that
need to
hasn't
add
always
another minute.
happened though, just to have it in writing, it would be
No.
nice.
I don't agree with that.
Well, just.
I think the majority of people
Well, to
agree
follow
with it
through,
though,
yeah,
so.
but to follow through
They don't smoke.
what Linda just said,
Nobody's.
when Judy had a question during the time period, you know, the president used her discretion as the chair of the meeting to say, hey, Judy, you know, say, wouldn't you rather have residents do it that way in the heat of the moment rather than wait until the end after the vote is taken? So if you,
Well, there's been times that's been chaotic and you said, no questions at all. That's happened
said that.
before.
I don't remember, well, it's up to the chair. I mean, you could.
It's just
work
more
on it.
organized, it's just more organized.
But do you see the point that when we're discussing it, isn't it more relevant then, rather than to wait until the end of the meeting?
Yes, but that doesn't work, that won't work, if there's something that people are heated over and everybody keeps talking, then.
Well, that's the job of the council president to try to keep it organized, which I think I try to
You
do
do a great
earlier.
job.
Well,
You
thank
do
you,
a
no, I'm
phenomenal
not taking
job,
it
but-
personal, except that
No,
is the
you're the
job.
best president we've had.
So.
Yep, under my watch, yeah, seriously.
That's
No, you.
Thank
You are, you're the best.
Chocolate chocolate in the
Okay, so.
Apologize to Kathy.
Okay, so now, so we have, this motion from,
To add, the motion to add.
Yes.
to add to the agenda for the next meeting regarding adding 1 minute to our regular
To
agenda.
the very end, agenda items only, any question that the citizens have.
Okay, so there's a motion, do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
I wanna talk about it further.
You wanna talk it some more?
You guys.
No, like, if we were to pass, I would wanna talk about it. more
Okay, yeah, this
next
is gonna
week.
go on the agenda for next
Yeah,
meeting.
just for next week.
You
Okay.
do still work for the people of Whitehall.
Under the administrative committee meeting next week, or the next meeting.
Under the
Yes,
administrative.
okay. Yeah, I like to get a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Book?
Yeah, wait a minute.
Good job.
They put it on the agenda, no.
No, not a roll call vote put on?
No, yes, she voted no.
I voted no to put it on the
Okay.
agenda for the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you. Mrs. DePew?
No.
Mrs. Iker?
Yes.
Mr. Lucetti?
No.
Mrs. Thomas? Yes. Mr. Soborowski?
Yes.
Mr. B?
How come you don't?
No.
See, you guys work for the people, they're here.
No's have it.
Okay.
You can even complain about me with that bit if you'd like to, you know? It's your,
Okay.
you have the right to, I work for you guys.
Are there any other, new business?
No.
Have you brought before
Oh, well,
council?
not for me, I don't know.
Okay, anyone else? No? Okay, so, everyone, don't forget to spring ahead. Saturday night and Sunday morning. Yeah, see that? I said something Mayor didn't know.
Thank you for saying that.
Motion adjourned?
A second, motion made a second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank